Hi scholars, this is Miss Maldonado. I thought since I've been having you guys read a lot now that we're doing online learning, I thought it'd be maybe a little fun if I popped on here and read with you guys this time. So we're gonna do a little read aloud, kind of like how we do in class. So I want you to go ahead and get comfortable in your seats, wherever you're at. Maybe if you're on your couch or you're at your desk, I want you to go ahead and sit back and get comfortable and go ahead and take a seat like you would maybe if we were on the carpet reading together. So today I chose the book She Persisted by Chelsea Clinton. And I chose this particular book for us to read together because it is Women's History Month for the month of March. We haven't had a lot of chance to talk about it in class after all of this happened, so I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to take a little read. Women's History Month is all about acknowledging all of the important, incredible women in history and here and now so that we can celebrate their accomplishments and sometimes the things that have been overshadowed in history. So this book is a really nice book and I want us to read it together. So let's go ahead and take a look at the front. It says, She Persisted, 13 American Women Who Changed the World. And it's illustrated by Alexandra Boyger. Let's take a look at the back. It looks like they have a nice little gallery wall. All right, let's open it up. It says, inspired by Senator Elizabeth Warren and in celebration of all women who persist every day. Let's take a look. It says, sometimes being a girl isn't easy. At some point, somebody will probably tell you no, will tell you to be quiet, or may even tell you that your dreams are impossible. Don't listen to them. These 13 American women certainly did not take no for an answer. What do you guys see in this picture? I see a gallery of a lot of important women, kind of like a museum. Let's look at our first woman. Harriet Tubman was born an enslaved person, and her story could have ended there. Instead, she persisted, escaping slavery and becoming the most famous conductor of the Underground Railroad. She risked her life many times to lead countless enslaved people to freedom, including her family, friends, and strangers. Every person she led to freedom arrived safely. I love the illustration that they made here. Let's see the quote that they used. It says, I should fight for my liberty as long as my strength lasted. Let's see who else they have in here. Once Helen Keller became blind and deaf as a toddler, few people thought she'd be able to learn to read and write and speak. But she persisted. Helen learned how to do all three things and not only became the first person with deaf blindness to graduate from college, but she used her story to help fight for more opportunities for people with disabilities in the United States and around the world. Let's see her quote. It says, one can never consent to creep when one feels the impulse to soar. Let's keep going. After her family fled poverty and the threat of violence in Ukraine for a new home in New York City, Clara Lemlich got a job working at a garment factory. She wrote that factory conditions made women into machines, and so she persisted, organizing picket lines and strikes that ultimately helped win better pay, shorter hours, and safer working conditions for thousands of workers, both women and men. Her quote says, I am one of those who suffers from the abuses described here, and I move that we go on a general strike. Do you know what a strike might be? Try to take a second to think about that. Let's look at the picture here. What do you think? The next woman that we're going to learn about is Nellie Bly. Nellie Bly became a reporter in part because a male writer had said that working women were a monstrosity, and she wanted to prove that women could do anything. At times putting her safety at risk, she persisted throughout her career in exposing real monstrosities, pretending to be a sweatshop worker, and a patient in a mental hospital to show how badly people were being treated. Her quote says, "I have never written a word that did not come from my heart. I never shall." Inspired from an early age by her brother's childhood illness, Virginia Apgar was determined to be a doctor long before many girls had such dreams. Even though she qualified to be a surgeon, the male head surgeon at her hospital discouraged her because she was a woman. Nevertheless, she persisted, becoming an anesthesiologist and creating Apgar's score to test a newborn baby's health, which hospitals all over the world still use today. Her quote is, "Nobody but nobody is going to stop breathing on me." After Maria Tallchief's family moved to California, partly to support Maria's dreams of becoming a dancer, she was teased by students in school for her Native American heritage, and later was encouraged to change her last name to something that sounded Russian, since many professional dancers at the time were from Russia. She persisted, ignoring the taunting and the poor advice, to become the first great American prima ballerina. It says, "It never occurred to me to say it hurts to do that." As a 15-year-old riding a bus home from school in Montgomery, Alabama, Claudette Colvin was expected to give up her seat to a white woman just because she was African American. In her refusal to get up, she persisted in taking a stand for what's right, helping to inspire Rosa Parks to make the same choice 9 months later, an act many point to as the starting point for the modern civil rights movement. It says, "I knew then and I know now that when it comes to justice, there is no easy way to get it. You can't sugarcoat it. You have to take a stand and say, this is not right." When Ruby Bridges was in kindergarten, many schools across America, particularly in the South, still refused African American students their equal right to an education. Ruby wouldn't be treated like a second-class student. She persisted, walking for weeks past angry, hateful protesters to integrate an all-white elementary school in New Orleans. It says, "That fateful walk to school began a journey, and we must all work together to continue moving forward." As the first woman to serve as both a U.S. representative and a U.S. senator, Margaret Chase Smith could not have let that fact alone be her legacy. Instead, she persisted in championing women's rights and more opportunities for women in the military, standing up for free speech, and supporting space exploration. The head of NASA once noted that we wouldn't have put a man on the moon without Margaret. It says, "The right way is not always the popular and easy way. Standing for right when it is unpopular is a true test of moral character." Sally Ride always believed women could succeed in any math or science career. Although not everyone agreed, she persisted, and she became the first American woman in space. But that wasn't enough for Sally. She traveled into space once more and then created science and engineering programs specifically for girls so she could help generations of young women achieve their dreams too, both on Earth and in outer space. It says, "Young girls need to see role models in whatever career they may choose. just so they can picture themselves doing those jobs someday. You can't be what you can't see. When as a kid, Florence Griffith Joyner visited her father in the Mojave Desert, he would urge her to run faster and faster, to run as fast as a jackrabbit. Even when she had to leave college to help support her family, she persisted in training on the track, then went back to school and got faster and faster. Her unbroken world records in the 100-meter and 200-meter sprints set in 1988 Summer Olympics mean she is still the fastest woman ever. When anyone tells me I can't do anything, I'm just not listening anymore. Oprah Winfrey's grandmother expected Oprah to follow her footsteps and become a maid. Oprah knew, even as a little girl, that her dreams would take her somewhere else. She persisted into turning those dreams into her reality and became a media superstar, working in movies, books, magazines, theater, and most of all, television. The Oprah Winfrey Show remains the highest rated talk show of all time. The biggest adventure you can ever take is to live the life of your dreams. Some of you may remember this one from your guys' research. Watching fictional judges on television inspired Sonia Sotomayor to want to be a real-life judge when she grew up. She knew she'd have to speak English as well as she spoke Spanish, study hard in school, and manage her diabetes before she could one day wear a judge's robe with a gavel in hand. She persisted, eventually becoming a Supreme Court justice and the first ever Latina to sit on America's highest court. It says, I have never had to face anything that could overwhelm the native optimism and stubborn perseverance I was blessed with. Last page, guys. It says, so if anyone ever tells you no, if anyone ever says your voice isn't important or your dreams are too big, remember these women. They persisted, and so should you. What'd you think? I hope that you guys enjoyed this book. I want you guys to take a moment to kind of think about all of the women that we learned a little bit of something about in this book. Take a second to think about it. Okay? And your next assignment that you guys are going to have is related to this book, so I hope you paid attention. If you want to watch it again, remember you can replay it from the beginning. And I'm really glad that we got a chance to read together. I'll make sure I post another read aloud so we can read together another day. Happy learning, guys. Miss you.